Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So it's early Sunday morning, getting my morning stuff done, mind, body, and soul. I wake up early every day. I was up at 5 a.m. I don't sleep in. There's no sleeping in. 7 days a week. I go hard. Going to be in the gym in a little bit. Just wanted to talk about society in a little bit and about how we view it. I want to talk about negative and positive people. I personally only really enjoy positive people. I get very bored and tired, exhausted around negative people. One way that I can tell a negative person right away is by their outlook on the world, their overall general outlook on things. A negative person sees the world in a very cynical way. A negative person, deep in their heart, somebody who's really depressed and sad, because that's where negativity comes from. It's an internal loss of something that you're missing. One of the puzzle pieces isn't there. You're missing something. You're lacking something. And you know it. Your body knows it. Your mind knows it. It may not be in the forefront of your brain, but it's an undercurrent, an undertow of your existence. And you can tell these motherfuckers because they always have this negative outlook on the world. They always have this cynical outlook on things. These are the type of people that say, that's just the way it is. These are the type of people that are always trying to bring down anybody who has ideology. If you have hopes and a really ideological dream of how your life is supposed to be and how life in general is supposed to be, one of these cynical motherfuckers will always try to bring you back down. They're going to do anything they can to try to pop that bubble. They think those types of people are stupid, living in a dreamland, as if you don't know anything, as if you've never seen anything, as if you can't even tell reality. They're the ones that are living in reality. And their reality is Gotham City, where everything is dark and everyone's out to get them. And, every time they hear about something bad in the world, they're just like, that's just the way it is. They do this in order to toughen themselves up, to try to be hard. Because without that, without being cynical like that, they'd be little bitches crying on the fucking ground. These are the type of people that are incapable of compassion, incapable of true love. They don't love themselves, and they don't have compassion for themselves, so they can't display it towards others. I can tell this by somebody who just simply has a negative outlook on the world. One of these real cynical motherfuckers, I can tell it right away. It's a sign of depression. I don't like being around negative people. I don't mind depressed people. I've been depressed. But if you're wallowing in shit, living in it, swimming in it, eating it, loving it, I can't fuck with you. I can offer you a helping hand out of it. But I can't fuck with you if you like that. I don't like people that are negative that way. I personally am positive. When it comes to, say, for example, in the context of what we're talking about, my outlook on society. I have a very ideological, positive outlook on society. I've seen the worst of the worst. I grew up homeless. My parents were homeless when I was born. We lived in a school bus. We didn't have a house. I've been homeless when I was 18. I went homeless again as an adult. So I know what poverty is like more than anybody. And I'm not talking about food stamp poverty where you sit around in a house full of lazy motherfuckers playing video games, milking the government, selling a little bit of dope to pay your bills. We're not talking about that kind of poverty, motherfucker. We're talking about begging for food poverty. I've seen that shit. I've seen more murders than most Iraq veterans. And that's for real. Right here in America, motherfucker. Heads popped off. Fucking good friends of mine. Over and over and over. Been to more funerals than you can ever imagine. I've seen it all. I've seen the worst. I've seen rapes. I've seen murders. I've seen beatings. I've seen bombings. I've seen every horrible act of society that it has. There's nothing I haven't seen. You can't name a scenario that I haven't fucking been in. And I still have hope. I still believe that there's good in people. I believe that we all have good in us. Everybody has the capacity to have good in them. Even the most piece of shit motherfucker locked down in a cell 23 hours a day in Supermax Florence, Colorado. Even the worst of the worst can be forgiven, can be turned good. They still have it in them. Every person, every creature the angriest lion, the most psychotic wild animal on a rampage killing out in the jungle, even that animal can calm down and be petted and can be cuddled with in the right scenario. I believe this. I believe in an orderly society. I believe in a polite society. I believe that we all have the capacity to do these things. I believe that we have the ability to have streets that are clean, to have areas without crime. I believe this, that it can happen. I know that this stuff exists. I've been around it more than you. I know it exists. I'm not stupid. I get sick of sitting around people that have never experienced anything, these elitist fucking shitheads. They sit around with their craft beers and their fancy $10 fucking cups of coffee talking about, oh, Sky, this is the way it is. Motherfucker, you haven't seen shit. You haven't seen shit. And you sit here and tell me through this cynical, looking down your nose glare how the world is and how evil man is, how people are just out to get you, how terrible things are. I've seen it. And I still believe that even in my enemies, I've had guns to people's heads. Even in those motherfuckers that I'm ready to fucking pop off, I believe they have a kernel of goodness in there somewhere. Every human does. And if you don't believe that, if you don't truly believe that all humanity, that every single person has the ability to be good, that society has the ability to work out. We don't have to be in this turmoil forever. We choose this. People need to understand that we're choosing our path. This is all choice. And at any time, we can choose to change the course of our society. We've had this ability forever. We could have done this 50 years ago. We could have done it 10 years ago. We could do it tomorrow. We could do it right now, today, on Sunday. By the end of today, we all could come together in hands and lock hands and say kumbaya, sing kumbaya, and say I love you. And if you don't believe that that's possible, fuck you. You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. Your cynical little fucking negative ass is depressed. You're depressed. You're seeing through a cloud of fear. I don't like being around people like that. If you're like that, I don't like being around people like you. I'm sick of people like you. Naive, negative people that don't know shit, that fucking sit here and want to tell everybody how the world is. I grew up with these people. I grew up with them. These local yokel motherfuckers. I grew up in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is a metropolitan city full of elitist, educated motherfuckers. It's one of the most educated cities in America. You can Google it. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. Motherfuckers there think they're so goddamn smart. You get these motherfuckers that have never fucking left Northwest D.C. They live in their fucking $5 million townhouse, and they're sitting there gonna tell me, oh, Sky, let me tell you how the world is. Fuck you, you motherfucker, and fuck your world. Oh my God. I do not care about this negative fucking fantasy world that you guys live in, where everyone is a shithead. Everyone sucks. Everything is negative. Oh yeah, that's just the way it is. Another 75 murders in Chicago. What are you gonna do? It's just the way it is. This is what they always say. What are you gonna do? They never have a solution for anything. Well, we could all be nice to each other. They look at that as stupidity. Well, you're just so dumb. How could you think that? Fuck you, motherfuckers. Fuck you. I'm sick of you. I'm really am. I won't associate with people like that. I'll lend a hand to try to bring you out of your delusion, your fantasy of fucking Armageddon, your fantasy that the world is ending at every turn, that we're all on the brink of revolution, that Armageddon is about to happen. Every culture has fantasized about this since the beginning of time. I'm sick of this fucking kind of bullshit. We can fantasize about having a positive world, about living in a fucking Norman Rockwell kind of fucking ideal society. It could happen, and all we have to do is choose it. We could do it by the end of today. Who's with me?